Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. Now, I need your help. I need you to go to my GoFundMe webpage and donate to my campaign because I need to do this full time instead of part time. Let's go donate today. All right, so I got a news story for you, and this was from Jimmy Dore because I watched his show yesterday, and he talked about how we have special forces in Niger. And this from the Washington Post. I kind of didn't want to use Washington Post because they're pro-war, but I'm just gonna just touch on it a little bit about what the Washington Post has on it. Because Washington Post talks about the soldiers that were killed there. I'm not going to talk about them too much because it's really not about them specific soldiers. But it does talk about details about the mission are still unclear. But there are media reports coming out about it. And here's the important part about it. It says the Pentagon and the White House have long sought to frame the U.S. military's activities there and elsewhere on the African continent as providing support for American allies battling extremists throughout the region, being removed from direct combat with those groups. So, of course, the main reason why I don't want to use the Washington Post is because Jeff Bezos, he owns Washington Post, and he got a deal from the CIA. So, of course, the Washington Post is definitely not going to criticize the CIA or the military industrial complex about how we have special forces in Niger and why the hell are we there in Niger. I mean, because we're definitely not there in Niger to protect the Nigerian people. That's for damn sure. Because they don't give a fuck about black people here in the United States. So you know they don't give a fuck about any black people in Niger. So it's not about protecting the Nigerian people, making sure their lives are better, making sure they have. They're trying to make sure that the poor and the working class over there are they're getting health care, or they're not getting screwed over by corporations, and make sure they have good workplace regulations or workplace protections for the employees there. None of that bullshit. Or none of that shit. So it could be they're just over there to help overthrow the government in Niger, because that's what our government does. Is we go over to different nations, overthrow their governments, so we could try to put in the president of our choosing so they could give us what we want, which is usually natural resources. Maybe it could be we just need to have special forces all over the place, all over the damn place, so we could keep fueling the any terrorist groups, giving them funding, so we always have an enemy to fight. So all the people that profit from the military-industrial complex can make sure they can keep getting paid, and there's always some reason or some militant group or some terrorist group, so we can actually go and send at least special forces over there to go shoot them or to go fight them. This is some of the bullshit that a lot of us independent media on YouTube keep talking about, how the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are the fucking same. Because I'm sure that Holly Seelger, I'm sure that H.A. Goodman, Tim Black, and Jane from the same Progressive, they've talked about how when George Bush was in office, he started an illegal war in Iraq over bullshit, and then they covered it up. Then Barack Obama, he came into office, and he just expanded the illegal warfare. He went into several other nations. We're already in 2 wars, in Iraq and Afghanistan. He expanded them to 7. And now, we have President Trump. He's in office. We haven't pulled out of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Somalia, Yemen, all these other places that Barack Obama went to go overthrow governments. We haven't pulled out of any of those places, and now we're in Niger, so it's just a lot of the same old bullshit that no matter which party's in, they're going to make sure that we keep marching towards war. So if you want to have a progressive revolution or political revolution, so we can have our so we can have our government represent us, not the corporations and the military industrial complex, you need to vote third party. You need to go with Green Party, you need to go with Libertarian Party, you need to go with Democratic Socialists or any other party that is not part of the Democratic or the Republican parties, because they have been bought and sold by the corporations and military industrial complex. So whenever those groups give them marching orders, all those politicians follow.